Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the biggest challenge question, the coaching conversation day here on the podcast. This week we have with us Maria Skvortsova. Hey, Maria. Welcome back.
Hello. Hello.
So, Maria, on Wednesdays, we explore a topic that you care about and potentially are dealing with right now as we are talking about it. And we want to explore that topic so that we both help you, if possible, but also that we model the coaching conversation for our listeners. So let's start with the topic first, Maria. So describe the topic for us.
Yeah. So once I left this SAP journey and decided that I want to be in more agile environments, I went back to the software development, and I got again a big team. I have 17 people in Scrum. So we are doing actually real Scrum. So we are trying to do. My team is very new. So it's, I would say, maybe 4 months together. And what I see and observe now is that, first of all, we have a problems with the hydration of our backlog. Because the team is big, the velocity is high, so they are producing a lot, and our business cannot catch the things and create enough stories for them to refine and to pick up. And another thing that also I think came from the number size of the team is that, for example, if we go to refinement session, I see that, for example, tech lead, BAs, and maybe QA is talking, the rest keeps silent. And what happens after that, when we take the story to the sprint and sprint starts, people are waiting for the tech lead to assign story to them. So we have not a Scrum, but we have like a factory. They wait for the story to be pushed to them. Then they handle it to QAs and say, no, it's not my business anymore. It's your problem. And then QAs and so on, like stage by stage. And this is behavior I need to break. I want them to work as a team to help each other, to try to understand what they are trying to build, what is the value for this. And so I would say it's like two problems in one team, but these are the main things that I'm dealing with now and trying to overcome.
So if I hear you right, what you're describing is this idea of silos.
Yeah.
So people that are separated from each other, perhaps not necessarily physically, but at least emotionally and from a process perspective, they are separated from each other.
Yeah, they are. Actually, I forgot to mention that it is distributed team that is working online, and they never switch on cameras. I haven't seen any of them, never. So I even don't know how they look like. And I think it's also a problem because they also do not know how they look like. And
well, I mean, the first thing that would come to mind is that it's a security problem right away. But even before going there, what I hear you describe is the way the system is set up with this remote team who go into meetings but never switch off camera, so you never see, are they paying attention? Probably they are, we can assume, but maybe not all the time. And then that the way the development is structured allows them to clearly separate their work from their colleagues' work. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Yes, I would say it's quite fair.
And what do you think are the critical handoffs where the this is not my problem attitude becomes a bigger problem even? What are the critical handoffs in that context of that team?
You mean, can you rephrase?
Okay, so my mind is trying to understand where the way the development is organized forces them to at least have some collaboration, even if it might be through Jira tickets or Slack channel or whatever. And the other areas of the process where even just the description of the process already states that there is a clear handoff and there's no need for them to even talk to each other about what is being delivered.
Actually, I already start breaking this because I try to create the flow through end to end. So I didn't allow to create separate stories, for example, for testing. So we have one story that goes from beginning to end. So beginning is when it meets definition of ready. We pick it up in the sprint, and ends when all the testings are done and definition of done is met. So from this point of view, I already try to combine them as a team and structure them more like as a team so they can collaborate. But they still try, we have these columns they have completed and ready for testing. And when this story comes to ready for testing, they start thinking, no, it's not developers issue anymore. It's the question to the QAs. And they start talking on the meetings, for example, they start continue name it like dev and QA, not the team, right? So this is something where from the cultural point of view on this column, the handover happens from the process.
And that's a very normal place. And that was part of the question that I had. That's a very normal place to create this, what I call a critical handoff. And by critical, I mean where just creating that handoff, here's the story, you take care of it, actually destroys knowledge sharing. So what I was thinking is, if that's already one of the critical handoffs that you've identified, so from dev ready to testing, then maybe one way to try to get the team to work more together is to actually design the tests before starting the development. And what I mean by this is we usually have acceptance criteria in a story. I assume they have it as well.
Yeah.
But that's just what should work, right? Like when a tester looks at a story, they'll come up with all kinds of other cases, either edge cases. Sometimes those are included in acceptance criteria. Sometimes they are not. And these negative cases, things that we don't usually think about when designing a story. So basically create the quote unquote test plan, the adversarial test plan for the story. If we try to do this, and that's just me thinking here, if we try to do this earlier, so shifting the quality work to the beginning of the story lifecycle, we are also implicitly I guess, fostering the collaboration between developer and tester, and even, hopefully, with the product owner, right? Like discussing, is this a case that we want to care about? And what should we do in this kind of error? And what if we don't have this information? Like all of these questions come up early on. Have you tried something like this? Kind of find replacement steps in the process that would not replace the handoff, because the handoff is still there, but kind of reduce the information loss at that particular critical handoff point?
Yeah, what I proposed to the team, and we just started, I would say, a few sprints ago, so it's quite new practice. So what I proposed is to do desk testing. So just for those who maybe doesn't know what it is. So the idea is that before we deploy the code to dev environment or whatever environment you have, the developer connects with the QA who will do the testing for the story and show the story and the results on his own laptop. So they have a session and the developer shows what he did. This allows QA to look at the story earlier in the process, ask questions, and say immediately, like, oh, this is something that is working not as expected. I was expecting this to work differently. And as you said, it's also a good point to connect with the PO and say, okay, guys, we have like some inconsistency. We have this behavior and this behavior. Which one is correct? This is what I tried in previous teams and was working very good because it really increased the level of collaboration between team members. And they start talking more, they start discussing more. But in this team, they still struggle. They forget to do this. I have to remind them in this use, right? So, okay, do you have something to present? Maybe it's time to collaborate. Do you want to invite this guy and this guy to talk about? But for them, it's still a problem. And what they proposed to me in like the last retrospective, they say, oh, maybe we will create a subtask for a story where we mention like handover to QA. And I said, no, we won't do this. Please don't. And this is where I was like alarms in my head, like, what should I do if they still, even after the desk testing implementation, they still have it in mind. They try to get rid of the work and hand over to another party.
Yeah. And so what you're describing is, I think, quite normal tendency in teams that have clear roles. Like you are a tester, I'm a software engineer, you're a product owner, I'm an architect. Like all of those roles already kind of implicitly indicate, hey, there are handoffs, right? Like I do my part, you do your part. And I don't think we can necessarily remove that 100%, although the more we remove them, the better. But I was thinking that even in that context where we already know that there's that tendency, and usually the larger the company, the stronger the tendency will be, it's important for us to recognize, hey, where are the biggest information loss steps in the process? Right? Because every time we lose critical information, we make the process slower and lower quality, right? By design, that is how it works. So I was thinking more from that perspective. So if you think about it from that perspective of where are the biggest information losses, what could we experiment to try to reduce that information loss? What do you think would be the next step for you? You already introduced the idea of desk testing and having the QA and the developer work together, at least for a bit of time to kind of do that information sharing. But what might be other steps that you think, okay, here there's an opportunity to avoid information loss?
I think, I don't know if it will work, but this is what I have in mind, is to try to involve developers more into the testing process. I know that it is not sometimes in the nature, as you said, of the companies, because they have very strict division between the roles. But if developers will try to put themselves into the shoes of QAs and try to test what they did, because I see from the quality point of view, the stories that are hand over to the QA, they have a lot of defects. It means the developer doesn't pay not enough attention to the quality of the code that they produce. So if they can somehow collaborate, I don't know how, actually, to be honest, I have no idea how to implement it, but it is something that I just thinking, because you cannot change something until you live it, right? So you cannot understand what can be the problem until you really get into this problem, unfortunately. And if we can show the other side, and they can understand what is wrong here, what we are trying to avoid.
Do you think that in the team there are people who would be amenable, who would be early adopters to an idea like that, of working closely together between developer and tester?
I think it should be possible because, as I said, 17 people in the room is quite a big team. So I know that some of people are very open-minded, and they will be interested maybe.
Because what I was thinking is that if you already feel that there would be some early adopters, you could just introduce that as an experiment and have a couple or 3 or 4 people, depends how many volunteers you get, to actually try that different way of working. Do you think that could work?
Yeah, I think it is a good idea, actually. This is something I can really try because we start the sprint tomorrow.
That's perfect timing then. So yes. Happy that you scheduled the recording for today. Okay, and that's the goal of this type of conversations, right? Like just come up with an idea that, hey, what if, and then a concrete experiment. And then, of course, we don't have any more time, but then next would be, okay, what do we look at? So what data do we collect? And how do we measure success? So what does good look like, right? And this could be developed together with the people who actually want to participate in that experiment.
Yeah. Yes, it sounds really good. Very good.
Absolutely. That was a great conversation. Thank you for bringing that topic to us today.
Thank you.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.